Everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Arya, a media communication student from the batch of 2022, and I will be your moderator for the evening. It is a pleasure to have you all here. Today, we're joined by Charit Jaggi, an alumnus of the 2015 batch, who is the founder of We the Young, a popular impact video content platform that talks about the stories and issues at the heart of young Indians. His work at We the Young has been featured in some of the country's top publications like Times of India, Economic Times, India Today, and Your Story Media. Charit has firmly been representing the voice of young India both nationally and internationally. Our next speaker is also from the SCMC batch of 2015, Ms. Rashi Maheshwari. Rashi currently works with Procter & Gamble in their sales and marketing function as a senior manager. Post Symbiosis, she worked with Zomato and went on to pursue an MBA from ISB Hyderabad. She's extremely passionate about her work, which includes brand building and demand generation in the FMCG industry. Rashi, Charit, thank you for joining us. Before we begin, all the participants are requested to note their questions and put them down in the Q&A box. Your questions will be answered towards the end of the session. Welcome, Rashi and Charit.
Hi, Arya.
Hi, what's up?
So, to begin with, you guys graduated in 2015 and it's been 6 years since. What does it feel like from being a student to coming back to your institute as a speaker? Charit, let's start with you.
Oh well, it's like it's a bag of mixed feelings, like a lot of nostalgia. Um, and Rashi and I have just been discussing that we've been wanting and dying to go back to Pune, and we've been planning to come see the city after the longest time. So it feels great.
Rashi, how about you?
I feel very old, but I'm hoping by the end of this I'll feel nostalgic more than being old.
I mean, I think at this point I'm in the same boat as you guys because we've been stuck online. So I agree with you all. Um, Charit, what drove you to pursue your graduation in media and communication, and how did you decide that CMC was the one for you?
Yeah, back in the day, it was called SIMC. Uh, Now it's been changed to SCMC. But yeah, so I applied for the entrance examination, and frankly, the entrance examination process in itself was quite interesting. Unlike most, I am from Delhi, and most people from my city wanted to go to the Delhi University. However, for boys especially, it was there was no good media school available in Delhi, so I was exploring and looking at other opportunities. When I got exposed to the SCMC interview as well as the group discussion process, I don't know if it's the same till now or not. I was very excited because there was a creative process already in place to shortlist and select people. So yeah, and I enjoyed the process, and I didn't even realize I ended up, like, I was, I think, on rank 7 or 8 or something when I was selected. So it just gave me a further boost key. I should pursue it, and yeah, it was a great decision that I took then to come here.
And Rashi, how about you? What was it like for you?
So I was a science student and I was very certain that I'm going to end up pursuing engineering. But in fact, I got in touch with a friend who was an SIMC alumnus that time. And we spoke and she kind of encouraged me to explore it. And I think like she spoke a lot about the kind of people she met there, and marketing communications was the only thing that excited me from everything that I was doing that time. So I think, yeah, that's what led me to Symbiosis.
So thank you so much, you guys, for these answers. Charit, so out of college, you navigated through filmmaking and journalism. So maybe you could tell us a bit about your experiences of filmmaking at Dreamcatchers and your time as a reporter at NDTV.
Right. So, while I was in college, I was honestly, like, people are not aware at that time that what are the skills that they are really learning or picking up. And honestly, I was, like, I used to question myself a lot that what is it exactly that I'm academically learning, etc. But the more I have gone into the industry, the more I have realized that literally, like, and very, very sincerely and honestly, every single skill that I learned at SCMC has come in to help me so much. Something as simple as Photoshop. I thought at the time we were learning Photoshop that I don't want to pursue design. Why do I have to learn Photoshop? But I started realizing how design has become literally one of the main things in any business, in any enterprise, in any profession altogether. Like, so these little skills that I picked up in specific, very organized classes, be it editing or Photoshop, would like have really helped me. The first job I took was at Dreamcatchers Films, which is a media and production house. Even though the specialization I had opted for while I was in college was journalism, I felt that while filmmaking did excite me at the time, I wanted to study journalism as a specialization more. Having said that, any of you from any specialization, be it ad, PR, filmmaking, or journalism, could easily, cross your streams later on and pursue anything you'd like. So yeah, so I went to Dreamcatchers at a very, very low salary, but excitingly, the first opportunity I got to work over there was on a project with the National Geographic Channel. So also we were heavily smitten by the Ye Jawani Hai Diwani bug at that time, and it was like I
We
really
still are.
yeah, we still are, of course. But that film truly came out during our college years, and it ended up kind of so I wanted to be a travel filmmaker, and I'm sure so many people want to do that even now. So yeah, it was a great opportunity. I went on shoots all across India with the Nat Geo team that we were a part of, and we produced a documentary which further excited me to pursue a career in documentary filmmaking or reportage or journalism for that matter. It taught me so much. Dreamcatchers taught me, I think, a great deal about video production. I was constantly, like, I had to be very, very proactive, constantly hooked to whatever is happening, doing anything from the smallest tasks to like being with the directors on the sets, etc. It taught me a lot. So an actual set teaches you a lot. It did that to me, even though I was being paid very less. But it created a great foundation for me. Post which, then I worked at a couple of other organizations. Finally landing at NDTV after a great deal of trying. And yeah, so when I reached NDTV, I realized the work environment over there, the news and the journalism ethics that people really abided by was something that I enjoyed, and the team was something I enjoyed doing. Also, news gave me a rush, which I still miss. There's something so exciting about being in a news environment where everything has to happen that very second, and you have to get it right in that very second and in that very instance. Um, a lot of my classes at SCMC, sort of came into be very, very helpful. I still remember a professor of ours who literally told us to go out on the streets, do some video stories, come back, on a particular time. And if you miss that particular deadline, your work will not be showcased. So that was the kind of rigor and the training that I was exposed to in SCMC. And truly, in retrospect, I value it even more as much as I did at that time.
Those are certainly some wonderful insights, and it's given me a lot to think about. I mean, I'm sure there are many aspirants and students here who also have a lot to think about after that. But then, after all of this, how did you decide that you wanted to start Be the Young? What is it like to set up your own organization? And what is the scope of being a media entrepreneur in the current times?
Right, that's a great question. Firstly, for anyone who's watching right now, I request you to please go subscribe and follow our Instagram page. It's called Be the Young India. In case you haven't already heard of it, if you guys have, I would be super proud already that some of you may know about the platform. The journey of going from being like a media professional to a media entrepreneur is something that came in with exposure. The more I work with organizations that were across the board in terms of the kind of format of content they were dealing with, be it journalism or anything else, the more I realized that this is something I can do as well. And the moment I realized that I could be the captain of my own ship and like really drive it forward and could arrange funds after 4 or 5 years of working, that's the time I decided to launch something and start it on my own. It has been very rewarding. It has been very, very fulfilling. And I urge anyone who wants to start their media enterprise to definitely give it a shot, because the current times that we are living in, jobs in general have taken a hit across the board. People within the media sector, there is a lot of overstaffing. There's a lot of already entering aspirants, so many new media colleges, so it is competitive. However, media entrepreneurship is proving to be a more sustainable practice than it used to be a couple of years back, and also very easily startable. Like you can just pick up a camera phone and you can really start running your own channel. Our platform right now has 700 videos. All of them have been, most of them, like 80 to 90% of them, have been shot by the people who are sending those videos. So the amount of media literacy that has percolated into people is immense. It has really made starting and running content businesses easier. However, I would not claim it's the most profitable venture as of now, but we're surely getting there.
Right. Thank you, Charit. Rashi, coming to you. So, from a college placement in Zomato to an MBA at ISB Hyderabad, was a postgrad always a part of a larger plan? And do you think a master's degree is a necessity at this time, and especially after SEMC? How do you think your experiences at SEMC helped you in your education during your master's?
Okay, so 3 questions. I'll go one by one. Firstly, no, postgrad wasn't a plan when I graduated from SIMC. I was working with Zomato and I was really enjoying there. However, within, I think, a year and a half into the job, I knew that I wanted to work with a larger organization, and Zomato was just about ad sales. I knew I wanted to work in something related to the consumer goods space. And 2 names that were very high on my list were P&G and HUL. And in order to get there, masters was a no-brainer. So because of that, that's how masters eventually ended up happening. And what was the last question? I'm so sorry.
So, the last question is, how did your experiences at SCMC help you during your study of masters?
Right. So because I did an MBA, and I'm sure like a lot of people know, more than 70 to 80% of the cohort in an MBA college comes from an engineering background. And since I was not from an engineering background, it was almost like people would look forward to listening to your ideas, especially in the marketing classes, or where there's no analytics involved. And so that definitely gave me an edge in terms of the fresh stuff that I would bring to the table.
Right. So thank you, Rashi. And Charit, I believe you also went on to pursue a course at Cambridge. What did you study there, and what was that experience like?
I I did a summer course actually at Cambridge. I studied entrepreneurship over there. And honestly, it was a lot of fun because apart from academics, it was also meeting so many people. What a foreign education does. I mean, I don't have a foreign education. But I realized this in the little time that I spent at Cambridge, was that it really exposes you to newer ideas, and specifically in an industry like media and new media. When you meet people from across the board, you realize what are the interesting things that are happening across the world, and then you have a unique point of view a fresh point of view that you can bring to India. So that's the experience and exposure I got staying a short while at Cambridge. But however, let me just clarify that anyone who is thinking of pursuing a master's abroad, it does not necessarily enhance your job prospects in any way. So while it's a great opportunity for people to take up, don't take it at the cost of a heavy loan or a heavy student debt that you are later struggling to repay.
All right, Charit, thank you so much. Rashi, so you paving your way into the FMCG market. Can you tell us how sales and marketing is different at these two very different organizations like Zomato and P&G?
Right. So Zomato and P&G are 2 very different companies. Zomato is essentially a service company, and P&G is a manufacturer of FMCG goods. So that itself differentiates sales or marketing or any other function for that matter at these two companies. So if I have to put it very in a very straightforward way, at Zomato we were selling rental properties on internet, and these were to the restaurant owners, which are essentially your B2B customers. And in PNG, you are dealing with a consumer brand. A Tide or an Ariel or a Whisper or a Pamper is something that directly reaches the consumer. So it becomes a B2C, something. Again, these are the words that or jargon that SIMC will teach you. But yeah, so because the person you're selling to and the product is very different, it entirely becomes two very different markets.
All right, so thank you. And both of your journeys and transformation from being media students to professionals is definitely a product of sheer hard work. But how do you think SCMC as an institute helped you in your journey, and what was your guiding path? Rashi, let's begin with you.
What was my guiding path?
Yes.
So I won't say that any one particular class or something nudged me towards taking this career choice. In fact, when I look back at SIMC, an aesthetics class by Melinda ma'am or Sagar sir's lectures are the most interesting bits that I remember. However, the reason I would say that I am where I am, or the exposure, the classes that gave me the exposure to even marketing as a field, would be while discussing how different companies are coming up with different advertising strategies in Kavita ma'am's class, or corporate strategies which seemed very extensive when you're a 20-year-old listening to them. But when you actually become a part of a corporate and start kind of curating these strategies, that's when you link it back to, say, a Tarun sir's class back at college.
All right. Thank you, Rashi. Charit, what about you?
Yeah. For me, honestly, as I said earlier, also at the time I was taking those classes, I had no idea. So I don't know what the format is right now or who the professors are right now, but we were exposed to art appreciation. As Rashi mentioned, I don't know if Melinda ma'am teaches anymore or not at the institution, but we were exposed to art appreciation. We were exposed to Dharmendra sir's classes on Photoshop. I remember in journalism, we had Mr. Yogesh Pawar doing broadcast journalism lessons for us. So any which way, I don't know. I don't know if most people attending here are like first year students or if there are people who are aspirants. But for all those people, the kind of curriculum and the pedagogy that the college has developed is something that already is very well researched. So I would say that anyone who's going through that entire process of the 3 years at college, just give in yourself completely, while it's really like the best years of your life and like have the best of times. And Pune, in any case, ensures that you do that because there's a large student community already available. Make sure that while you are at class, just pick on these little skills that will go a long way in helping you in your professional journeys after college.
I actually very strongly agree with the curriculum bit. Like, I was amazed, and I still am amazed at the different things, from watching Bharat Ek Khoj to art appreciation to Sagar Kamat's lectures. Like, I think it's very, very well researched.
That's certainly true, and I completely agree with you guys there. So moving on, I think you'd both agree that internships play a major role in defining one's career trajectory, and how we perform at internships can have either a positive or negative consequence on our career. On that note, what was your experience like doing your internships? Rashi, what was it like for you?
So I still think one of the biggest takeaways for me was the internships, especially two really significant internships. One was at JWT and one was TFI. And while TFI was an entire experience in its own, JWT, I wanted to go intern at JWT just because of the brand tag, and that's a mistake that I made, but it worked out for me because I was that intern who was actually given work. But of course, that is something that you need to be sure of. Like, I remember my friends who really researched as to what they want to do and then went and interned for that organization, and that's how it actually should be. Coming to internships, again, like internship at JWT was my first real life exposure to advertising, or what goes behind creating an advertising strategy. How much money do companies spend on marketing? What do brand managers at company do? Or what do other functions at company do when you get to interact with them through that internship? So it's what they call it. It's a hands-on experience, and just research very well before where you are interning and what you want out of it.
Right. Thank you, Rashi, for that insight. Charat, what was the experience like for you?
I strongly believe right now at our organization, we have so many interns coming in, and I realize the difference between anyone who's just here for an internship for college purposes or official purposes, like just to collect work experience, etc., and someone who truly wants to learn. So the first internship I ever did was at Teach for India, which I think was a mandatory internship at our time for all class students. But because I was so determined to really add to my existing knowledge base and do something over and above what was already prescribed for me, what I did was I went to another organization. It was called Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative at that time. And I couldn't get through to them. Like I really needed an internship, but I couldn't get through to them. I stood outside their office. I asked the peon, I was like, who is there inside? I want to speak to someone. And I went inside and I realized that this is their administrative office and their main office is somewhere else. There was an administrative person sitting over there whose job was to collect newspaper clippings, not to undervalue any job. But when I asked her, she said, "Why don't you intern with me?" And I couldn't say no. So my job as a secondary internship that I took on my own accord was to cut out newspaper clippings about something and really like give it to them. Now I can't even begin to tell you how much this taught me. I would be humiliated so many times in my head thinking, what am I really doing? I would really go from my TFI internship, which was at one end of Delhi, have my lunch in the metro even though it wasn't allowed, reach here on time, and listen to a lot of flack from these people if I was like 15 or 20 or 30 minutes late. So I just started realizing that the value of time and stuff like that and all of that. But in my later internships, I realized that internships are really truly what you make of them, especially if you're interning at offbeat organizations which are not as structured, startups, companies like We the Young. You should really, really be able to, go to whoever is the in charge and say, hey, here's an idea that I want to implement, and like push towards making your internship more and more valuable for the organization that you're working for. As first time interns, there are two kinds of people I have seen. Ones who have a lot of attitude when it comes to really, because they have come from their fresh out of their schools and they just feel like that they really don't need to do anything at all. So they are at the organization for merely gaining like a resume, filling up their resumes, etc. And companies are very quick to sense this. They will not invest their time in anyone who is here to collect only stuff for their resume. So show to people who you are working for or want to work for that you really are interested in adding value to the organization. That's how I made most of my other internships more and more valuable, by just jumping the queue and telling the founder or whoever I'm working with that, hey, this is something that I want to do and I want to try out. Don't be afraid, don't be shy to question anything, even if it's the most dumb questions. Just go ahead, ask those questions. It worked very well for me, and I see it working so well for interns who work for us right now. So yeah, broadly that has been like my internship learning, I'll say. If I were to go like one by one, I don't think there's any point in that right now. What are the internships that I did?
Certainly, and I think internships are like Rashi said, internships are the first step for us, many students like me, into the real world. So, what is something more that you guys would want to tell students like me and so many others watching? What would be that one advice you'd give them? Rashi?
When they go to intern,
Yes.
what Charit said in the end, just like just go all in and ask for things that you want. Like even at PNG, interns coming, I think that's very blanket to any internship. the more you ask for, the more you will be able to learn. And most importantly, I would say just go to an organization where you really are passionate towards the work that they do. It could be in any field, and it doesn't have to be an NGO, or it doesn't have to be a developmental sector. This thing, just go somewhere where you're really passionate with what they're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you. Charit, do you have any insight to add on to this?
Yeah, look at smaller organizations to work with instead of bigger brand names. Uh, People care about the value addition they can bring to you can bring to their organization, not exactly about the big names of organizations that you have on your resume. When I look at a resume to vet someone for an internship, the first thing I see is how they have created their resume, which is again something that comes from learning Photoshop and understanding how you can really do these placements very well. I remember being taught about how do you design a poster, how do you design a pamphlet, a brochure. So I think, and Rashi and I have really helped each other so much in terms of designing our resumes, etc. She has been someone who's an expert in that in a lot of ways. And so many of my internships and my, like I applied for the LAMP fellowship, I remember, and she was always there to help me out. So I think like she also picked on that from learning at the university, at the college, a lot of things. In terms of people who are looking at internships, make sure that your resume doesn't boast of something that you haven't done. I applied to an organization through college in my first or the second internship, sorry, and they replied back saying, "Please redo your resume and send it," because a person with this little educational years cannot have so much experience, which was true, because we are so this thing about the ideas about how resume should look like, that we just end up making a resume so overwhelming unnecessarily, and writing even the slightest things. But employers just need to see integrity at the internal level. Like they really want people who have integrity and honesty, and they're coming for the right reasons to the organization.
And I would also say, so your internship period is essentially 1.5 months. So pick up something that you want to kind of leave an impact with. And, because at any organization that you work with, most projects are very long term. So while you are helping them with that and learning on those things, also pick up something that you find is an opportunity there, and try to make it impactful before you leave.
Definitely. Thank you guys for these wonderful inputs. And I'm sure things in the real world are not served to us on a golden platter. So, I mean, on that note, what were some of the unexpected challenges that you guys came across in your journey as professionals? Charit, what about you?
Hmm. I think the biggest challenge is identifying what you really want to go after. After 5 years of working, I have now realized that I want to be a filmmaker. Okay. And even though filmmaking is something I did, but the realization of this passion is something that has come in after 5 years. A lot of people who are watching this, who might watch this later, are confused about when will they find their passion, right? And what if that they are not very passionate about something? Like, what do they really do then? In that case, like, do something like me. I was really like trying, and it is a lot of trial and error. I just never left an organization. There hasn't been a single day where I haven't earned something, because I was so I was so focused on making sure that I was jumping from one organization to the other if I wasn't satisfied. I never I don't know if this works well for you or not, but it did for me. I left an organization where I felt that the organization stopped adding value to me, or I stopped adding value to that organization. If it was 2 months, 3 months, people think that they have to stick to an organization because they need to have a year-long exposure or a experience
Or it
certificate.
won't look good on resume.
Yeah, exactly. And I would leave organizations like in a month also. So the shortest, duration of that how long I've worked with an organization is 1 month. Like I left an organization after just having worked 1 month over there, because it was not beneficial. So don't drag yourselves unnecessarily. The realization of what you truly are made for, or what is your passion, or even if you don't have a passion, what is it that you're going to end up doing in life, would come in much later. So just I kept throwing myself, and if you guys have the realization earlier, then like great for you.
Thank you, Charit. Rashi, what were some of the unexpected turns that you came across?
I think the biggest unexpected, I would say, expectation in a way is when you graduate from any college, be it undergrad or even postgrad, and when you get into a corporate world, nobody is there to spoon feed you, and people expect that you are master at the job that you're hired for. And obviously, that's not the case. While they know that there is no bandwidth that people in a corporate organization usually have, if you get great mentors like I have, that's you're one of those lucky people. But I would say that just being thrown into the pool without having any direction as to how to do it is always going to be a part of the corporate industry, from what I have learned, at least in the last 4 5 years of working. And try to find the right mentor. That always helped me, even if that mentor was not my manager, but just finding that one person who could support me, that really helped me.
These are some interesting insights, you guys. Moving on, do you have any tips for cracking placement interviews? And what should one keep in mind while they're applying to an organization? Rashi, what do you think?
I love this topic. This is like placement interviews and resumes is my jam. But uh, one thing I've learned over the time, what Charit also said, is if you are not honest, people on the other side are much more experienced. They have spoken to plenty of people like you. So they will always be able to figure it out. Most of the times, they will be able to figure it out where when you are projecting something that's not true. And second, why during the interviews, what really helps me is structuring what my answers are. And this might sound very technical, but it works like magic, at least for me. It's something called the context action result format. That what you're trying to say, what's the context, and what did you do in order to fix that situation, improve the results, or any initiative that you took, and in the end, what was the result. So be very clear on your resume. Everything that you write on your resume should have this context action result that you've experienced in your life. And then I think once that happens, the interviews just become very natural. Then it becomes very conversational.
Thank you, Rashi. Charit, what do you think about this?
About cracking placements.
Yeah, any insight that you would have for these
Yeah.
placement interviews?
So, see, very honestly, I don't know what's the scene right now, but back in the day, very few organizations for journalism would come on campus to onboard you. So, if you don't get a campus placement, don't be disheartened. Just make sure that the places you're interning at, you're trying to get a pre-placement offer from there. It's a PPO. Some of you might be familiar, some of you might not be, but try cracking a PPO from one of those organizations where you really enjoy working. So make the most of your internships. Try and ask people while you're interning that what are the positions that at the smallest level that organizations like news channels, etc., hire for. If you're pursuing journalism, if you're pursuing a career in filmmaking and production houses are a great place to start. Then understand which production houses have what kind of work, what are the brands they are dealing with, what kind of projects that you would be working on, and most importantly, try and make the first 2 years of your jobs in places which are not necessarily places where you come from, because while you work in a different city in a different place, and considering a lot of people coming to SCMC are not from Pune and from other cities across the country, you'll already realize that how it changed your educational experience for the better. Similarly, working in a different city than your hometown in the first 2 to 3 years makes you more proactive. It gets you going. You're in the city living by yourself, trying to manage your funds. So a lot of those things are very, very helpful, when you're working um, in a place that is not necessarily your city. So yeah, so just don't rely on placements from the college. Make sure that you try to use the opportunities given by the college in terms of internships to convert them into pre-placement offers for yourselves. And yeah, that's about that.
Thank you, Charit. And now I think since you guys are both at a fairly senior position in your career, what are some of the qualities that the industry looks for when they're recruiting freshers like us?
Ashi, you wanna go
So
first?
again, I'll just talk about my industry. and might be blanket. I feel at both my jobs, when I interviewed also for those jobs, none of the technical questions were per se asked to me, or I don't think they were looking to see whether I can sell or whether I'm great at brand building. It's assumed when you're coming from an institution like SCMC or ISB that this is a technical skill that you possess, and you will learn the ropes of how the organization wants you to use these technical skills once you are hired. But at least right now, with the kind of agility that any industry requires with the ever changing times, I think ownership of whatever task has been given to you and commitment to fulfill it, that ownership is something that a startup as well as a big organization is looking for in any person.
Thank you, Rashi. Charit, I'm sure you might have some inputs to add on.
In terms of what organizations are looking for,
Yes.
in terms of freshers, honestly, I don't want to sound cliche, but really the competition is a lot. And when I say the competition is a lot, the competition not in terms of that there are fewer jobs, that being something which is statistically there, but also in terms of people outdoing you in so many ways. For every single filmmaking or journalism student attending SCMC, there is someone sitting in a not so good college doing a better job than you. So why would I, as an organization, be incentivized to hire you if there is someone else who's already proving to me that despite going to a great school, they are doing much better work? So it's really that while you are at college, what are the kind of boundaries that you have pushed? If you say that you have that you are interested in filmmaking, have you tried to make a short film? Have you tried to do something about it in your college years? That is what at least filmmaking and journalism organizations are looking for. In the college itself, you have the opportunity, if you're a journalism student, to go and shoot a report on your own. Go out into the city, look at the issues that are there, pick up a camera phone, tell your friends, go to InShots, edit your own video, do 20 such videos. That doing these videos is what helped me get an admission into an Ivy League school at Columbia University, which I later declined because I realized that Columbia's curriculum is very similar to what SCMC has already taught me. So I felt that I don't need to spend, even though I got a scholarship, I felt I don't need to spend that much money learning the same curriculum. And those, literally those things that I had made, the projects I had made while at college, or having learned whatever I had at college, and then using that to make those projects is something that got me an admission over there. And yeah, so I really feel like in terms of the expectations from a fresher, the idea is to see that if you are, you know, above the norm, and if you're really above the if you're not mediocre at whatever you do, so make sure that whatever it is, even if it is animation, like anyone sends me a small video of a clip that they have animated and it's great, I'm more than happy and inclined towards getting them on board for us. So I feel like filmmaking is not just or journalism is not just what is there on the surface. There are so many elements to it that can be specialized in. So pick on a specialization, try to pick on a specialization, try to not be generalized about the idea of what you want to do. Say what is the kind of films you want to make, say what are the kind of issues and stories you want to talk about. Do you want to be an investigative journalist or a business journalist? Do you want to be a fiction filmmaker or a non-fiction filmmaker? Start asking yourselves these questions in your second years, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of answers.
Thank you, Charit. Speaking of being very hands-on in college, um, throughout your 3 years at SEMC, what were your learnings through, say, classes, internships, clubs, activities, projects that you took up, and so much more that have still stayed with you all this while and have helped you in the industry or building your career, and especially in the building of We the Young?
Okay. Uh, See, as I have said, I think I've already spoken about this, like I've answered this in bits and pieces. Uh, Briefly speaking, first year was foundation year. A lot of movies we watched, some screenings we were not able to attend, we skipped or whatever. Some of them we did attend. Those are the ones that have stayed with us. Those are the ones that have helped me build an eye for great content. I would have never myself watched those films at all, let alone like I didn't even know about those films, so I wouldn't have ever watched such great cinema that we were exposed to in college. Post that, the second year was more streamlined into filmmaking and journalism together being the two courses that are there, and then finally journalism. So I feel all in all classes were helpful in some or the other way. I wish I could have been more proactive, created more films, created more done more things as a hands-on activity, because there was a lot of opportunity and ample opportunity for that. It was not important that all time after college needed to be spent in leisure. I could have done something more, but that's a small regret, and I feel that that's why I'm advocating for people to take it up right now.
Thank you, Charit. Thank you so much. Rashi, coming to you, what were a few things that you learned during your time in the industry that perhaps books couldn't teach you?
I think so books or classes in a consumer industry, they always we were taught about what great stuff other companies have done in marketing, or how do you, for example, collect data in order to come up with a campaign or something. But to actually get insights from that data, and to actually kind of understand the heartbeat of the consumer that you are dealing with, whether it is a B2B or a B2C consumer, you obviously, it's experience that teaches you that. So even though I know, say, like the 4 P's of marketing, and I know a structure that the book gave me, and that while that really helps me start off with anything that I'm doing, what I'm going to fill in that comes from my hands-on experience in the industry while I'm interacting with the consumers, etc. But books gave me that structure, and I don't think and I think that structure is very important.
Absolutely. Thank you. So my question is to the both of you. Say if a fresher or even an aspirant were to reach out to you today for advice, what would be the one thing you would tell them to expect from the to expect from the institute and the industry? Charit, what do you think?
Hmm. Do you mind rephrasing that question again for me, please?
Right. So, if a fresher or even an aspirant were to reach out to you for advice, what would be the one thing that you would tell them to expect from the institute or say from even the industry?
See, institution-wise, I'm not sure right now what is the new curriculum and if it's an updated or revised one. The best judge for that would be people who are attending who want to attend or are attending the school, SEMC basically. They should make sure that they're reading the entire contents of what they'll be studying, right? But I think, as far as I think, the course structure pretty much is the same till now. If some content may have been updated like is necessary after a couple of years, but yeah, so I would just say that do your research, like do some groundwork yourself, do some homework yourself, speak to a faculty. That's a great way to even get admissions. This is a small hack that is there. If you're looking to get admission into an institution where you're applying, go ahead, speak to a faculty member over LinkedIn, try to email them, try to find their emails, ask them that, this is a subject that I'm really interested in. Will I be studying this, right? You don't know if that person is going to be the person who's interviewing you or shortlisting your application. So make sure that you're doing your research and are proactive about it. These professors, all of them are available on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And if you ask them that, can you please tell me what I'll be specifically studying under XYZ vertical of broadcast journalism, they'll be more than happy that someone is taking so much interest.
That is a very, very insightful tip, a very interesting tip. Rashi, do you have any inputs to add on to this?
So I believe the question is that what should one be looking forward to while joining SIMC, right?
Yes, one advice to somebody who would
SCMC.
want to join SCMC, or even somebody who's looking forward to step into the industry.
Okay, so with SCMC, just trust in the process. It might, I don't know what it is right now, but at least when we were a part of the batch of 2015, there were a lot of times when you would question the process, and just don't get bogged down by that. Trust in the process. There are a lot of, I'm sure there are a lot of people who've put in a lot of effort and research into coming up with the entire curriculum and extracurriculars for you. Take as much as you can on your hands. If you are somebody who's never done a debate and there's an opportunity to do that, if you've never somebody who doesn't know anything about filmmaking, the first year's for that. Enroll yourself in making up a film or something like that. But give all in.
Definitely. So thank you guys. These have been some wonderful answers and really profound insights. I'm sure all of us have a lot to take away from them and a lot to think about. That's definitely something that we're going to go to sleep thinking about. Now, we also have a bunch of questions that our attendees are asking. So I'll go ahead with these. So our first question is for Charit. How important is experience before starting one's own firm, and is it okay to directly dive into it?
Yeah. So my father told me it's very important that you work with a couple of organizations before you start, but don't believe this at all. Like, go ahead and start something if you really want to start. Chances are that chances ka it's a fact कि if you start early, you learn so much more than you learn after 5 years of starting. So I would say that don't hesitate to start early. The sooner you do it, the better. Of course, there would be issues and challenges where you may feel like it would have been better that you work with an organization, etc. But you'll figure those challenges out in a year. And I know so many people who are much younger than me and who are right now getting funded a lot more than what we can afford, like we have right now. And they all started early. So any organization, the non-conventional types, any media startup I have seen in recent times doing very well is started by people right out of college. And trust me, you don't need as much funds to start. You need I believe I was speaking to someone who is an alumni of SCMC. They started something called as a public policy page. I'm forgetting the name. Um,
I think it's Yash Agarwal.
yeah, and someone else. I'm forgetting the name of the page. It's something to do with like it's to do with public policy.
Yes.
But they're doing some amazing work, and I'm sure that there are good things coming for them in the future. So yeah, so to answer the question short, please don't wait for 5 years to get experience. If you want to start something, while experience will help, you can absolutely still do it without gaining that experience and learn on the go.
So our second question is for Rashi. Rashi, after deciding advertising to be your specialization, what was something about it that spoke to you, and what was it that made you stick with ad, and what made you stick with sales and marketing?
So advertising wasn't what I was passionate about. As I said, like I was more passionate about moving that needle on the sales figure of an organization. However, I don't know if it sounds cliche or anything. Like and in fact, I got even more certain of that after I started my first job. And so that's what kind of and marketing influences sales. So it's a very it's something that goes hand in hand. So if I want a territory to grow, I would want to generate demand there, which is nothing but marketing. So that's how I got into the FMCG industry.
All right, thank you, Rashi. So our next question is directed to both of you. Is marketing and communication valued equally at small, medium, and big entities? And if so, what are the differences between these?
Kashi.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
No. Chad, do you want to answer that?
No. I couldn't understand. I don't think I'm an expert on this, but you can answer.
So I don't think it has to do with the size of the company. I think it's more to do with what the company is selling. So if my company is selling a product which needs to reach the consumer and the consumer needs to be aware of it, it has certain kind of brand equity around it, then marketing it becomes a major function. But if it is a service that is almost like a necessity, then maybe marketing won't be that big a function. But then industries like insurance prove you wrong. So it's, you can't do away with marketing, whatever size of company you have. But how much it helps in getting an incremental growth in your numbers, that is something that depends. That's very subjective.
Thank you, Rashi. So our next question again is directed to both of you. How has the pandemic changed company marketing and independent content creation? Charit, would you like to go first?
For us, it has been a major boost. I'm sorry if that sounds, this thing. I understand that the world is going through something, but honestly, because we're right now having a very open discussion about career and work life, etc. From a content creation point of view, people have been inside and they have been creating more content and watching more content. So I feel like the pandemic has served us great in that on that front. People have started experimenting with their own mobile phones, making shorter videos, stuff like that. So naturally, the quality of the content, because a large part of our content is crowdsourced, the quality of that content has improved a lot. There have been so many new and innovative ways in which we have been interacting. One being Zoom that we are right now on, and the way we conduct interviews with the people that we feature on the platform. It's just become like this, like this. There's been an exponential increase in a lot of activity, so to speak. There is, in terms of economy, I'm sure the facts are out for people to consider, but from a content creation business perspective, I think I can say that it has been a good boost during these times.
Rashi, would you like to answer the question?
I think definitely become digital first. I mean, if you'll see the stats, TV and traditional marketing has always had the lion's share when it comes to a company's marketing spends. But that's slowly and in fact, I would say the pace of it getting diverted to digital has been exponential, just the way, and that's reflecting in businesses and content creators like We the India. And in fact, it's become more regional also. So the likes of TikTok, Bulbul, and SimSim. In fact, I was discussing this with Charit the other day, that even in digital, the platforms have become very different. It's no more just Facebook marketing. There is so much more that people can do, and one of the key reasons is because digital gives you so much data that you can create your marketing strategies on.
Thank you, Rashi. So our next question again is directed to both of you. Is it okay to leave where you're placed during the placement, or should one try to adopt what you're learning even though you might not be enjoying it? Charit, would you like to go first?
I think you already answered that.
Yeah.
Right. So Rashi, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, same. Definitely don't stick with something that where you're not learning anything, and uh, losing a job that you got right at the time where you were graduating is not going to be a disaster at all.
Yeah.
Thank you. And again, our next question is, how should one decide their niche that or a specialization that they're supposed to pick in college? Charit, would you like to answer the question?
Yeah. So I think someone listening, the participants had this question also, that do I regret taking journalism as a specialization versus audiovisual communication or filmmaking? And I typed that answer and sent it to that person saying, yes, I do. Now I'll tell you why and how did I decide the specialization. I decided something that I wanted to learn. Okay. So my choice of anything was based on the fact that it's something I want to learn. It's not something that I am bound that I'll have to do if I pick that as a specialization. What often happens with people who are in the first year is that they have this pressure, like they've always had in school and college, to just decide a stream, right? Like, unlike in school streams, in college streams, you can totally, like, cross paths at any point of time. Like Rashi today could be the most amazing content creator we have, despite having had a specialization in advertising. So I feel like specializations should be picked up based on things that you do not know about and would like to learn. If I would have picked up a specialization in advertising, PR, journalism, or filmmaking, it wouldn't have made a difference to whatever I wanted to do. since I was so aware of this fact, what I did was I took up a specialization in journalism, but ended up doing more of filmmaking afterwards, right? So my specialization in that case did not hold me back from pursuing a career in something which was another specialization. So yeah, so firstly, don't look at specializations as being binding you in any way, and secondly, don't pick specializations that you have an interest in only. Make sure that if you, let's say, have an interest in filmmaking and you've already watched enough of it, right, and you want to study something else, you can pick up another specialization and it'll add to your skill sets. Because at the end of the day, these 3 years at college are not supposed to make you a specialized media person. They're supposed to be making you a specialized professional, and then you can go on and make yourself a specialized entity at a particular specialized organization. So yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you, Charit. Rashi, would you like to answer the question?
So while I majorly agree, at 19, 20 years of age, it's very difficult to think for most people what they would want in long term and then base their specialization on that. So if you have that clarity, like I remember some of us had that clarity that we want to do something in so also I think the one, I don't know how the system works now, but at when we were studying, you have to choose a broader specialization in the second year, and you then specialize into a particular field in the third year. So that is something, because it's easier to get clarity between mass communication and marketing communications, and the college helps you choose at least between that. However, having said that, as Charit said, it's your undergraduation specialization definitely does not define, especially right now, the way things are, as to what your 5-year or 10-year career plan is going to be.
All
It's
right,
much easier to shift gears after your undergrad also.
right. Thank you, guys. So our last question is: do you guys have any words or any fun anecdotes about your fond memories or nostalgia from the college time?
We won't
Either of
end
you
this call in 2 minutes then.
um, so Rashi, would you like
No,
to?
I'd like Charit to answer this first.
So yeah, like so many of them, and it's a very difficult question to answer, because those 3 years really, like, especially if you are in the Pune campus, like away from your city, they really end up transforming you in a lot of ways. So yeah, so like I remember every single thing, like right from hanging out around the college after classes, to the kind of food we used to get in the canteen, and like to staying in the hostel, and the fun that we'd have over there. A lot of those things not appropriate mentioning on the platform right now, but yeah, so a lot of offhand fun like that. And yeah, just exploring the place. I think this college also does. We went to different excursions through college, and even on our own. The city and the places around it, the weather is something that we miss till now. So yeah, there's so much to explore within the city as well as around the city. Treks, there are so many small treks, etc., that are there. I've just been reading about them now because I've been wanting to come back again. So yeah, and Rashi and I were friends. We became friends in college, and I think that was uh, those friendships till now, like continuing these friendships, has been the most rewarding thing. It has given me such amazing friends that are really like my lifelines right now. So yeah, so anyone who's like looking at the experience will definitely not underwhelm you, to say the least. Like it'll be something that'll just stay with you for the rest of your lives in a very beautiful way. So yeah, those are little small memories I have from college.
Thank you, Charit. Rashi, do you have something to add on to this?
No, I think he's pretty much covered it all. But yeah, like the kind of just the entire, be it doing a project or just something which is not academic, you are essentially doing everything together. It's your co-living. Even if you're not staying with each other, because you're staying in Viman Nagar or in Pune, you're co-living, and that creates bonds that last a lifetime. And however cheesy that sounds, it's just something that SCMC and Pune gives you. it will definitely give you, not just for me. I know it definitely gave that to so many of my friends and batchmates.
Definitely, and I don't think that's cheesy at all because we're stuck doing our course online. So everything that you guys said definitely resonates with me and all the students who are in college right now. So, and I'm sure there are a lot more questions that our attendees have, but time constraints, we have to stop here. Hopefully, we can all connect and interact with you guys outside this forum in case we're looking for your guidance.
Definitely.
Yeah, email only, please. Sorry, but yeah, that is the most.
Chad's a busy man.
No, because then it becomes very difficult to keep a tab and a track. But I hope I've answered most of the questions. And
You can DM V the Young, then he'll respond.
no, you follow Vida Young. That's another thing. But just to also mention that Rashi is actually genuinely someone who is a thorough professional and at the top of her field right now. For anyone in advertising and public relations or generally towards the marcom side of media, they should definitely reach out to her because I have gained so much from her, from her guidance to build an organization that I'm building, which is a content platform. And all my interactions with her, be it about my company or anything else before that I have done, have really shaped me a lot. So guys, also like please reach out to her if she is open and available to give recommendations, because her recommendations and her suggestions and her guidance has really been something that has shaped a lot of my professional trajectory. So yeah, I just wanted to give Rashi a like plug-in from my side.
Yeah, thanks. I should start charging now.
But yeah, thank you, Arya. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Arya.
Thank you, Rashi and Charat, for taking time out of your very busy schedules and sharing your experiences with us. It was an extremely insightful session, and I'm sure it gave us all a good ground base into the industry. I'd like to take this moment to thank all of our attendees who joined us today. Thank you for joining us. I hope you all had an amazing time listening to this webinar and these wonderful people. We'll be back with another webinar soon. Until then, stay safe and stay home. Thank you, guys.